Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Sports Talk. My name is Tom Foster, together with Iris Dunham, bringing you the show from our beautiful Clinton Beach, here in the beautiful town of Clinton. And you know, when you think about the beach, you think about summer. We're in the middle of summer right now. And when you think about the beach, you think about the water. We want to be out in the water. You know, you got power boats and everything. What we're going to talk today is to focus on sailing. We have a great club here in Clinton called the Clinton Sailing Club. And to talk to you about what's going on with the club, how it got started, how many kids are in the program, we're joined together by a husband and wife team. We're joined by Connie and Jerry
Warner,
there you go. And so, Jerry, tell me a little bit about how this all got started, because you said before we started, you've been here since the beginning. So how did it get started?
Well, a friend of mine came to me and said another friend of his was interested in starting a sailing club, and that it might prove to help us get more time sailing, as me and my friend have a sailboat together. So we were under the guise that we were going to be able to sail more. So it started out as a club, and then it kind of morphed into this where we were just going to teach kids how to sail. So it's a love for sailing, and we're here to teach the kids how to sail, and it has helped me sail less for the time it takes up. So
is that good for you, Connie, that he's sailing less?
well, I actually came on board to support the sailors because I'm not really a sailor. So I came on board in 2016 in a very sort of minimal way, and in 2019 I came in a more a larger role. And we actually have evolved, so now we don't just teach kids, we teach all ages up through however old you want to be and still get into a boat.
So how many people do you actually have enrolled in the program right now?
Right now we have over 200 registrations.
Wow, for this summer?
And we do still have some openings in our private lessons and our upper level lessons, but all of our level ones have waiting lists.
Great. Now tell me, Jerry, how many levels are there?
I think we have 4. We've gone up to 4, and I think 4 is ultimately racing. And then, like she said about the adult and family, they all kind of start at 1, and I think we're starting a level 2 women's and stuff. So
Now, you mentioned level 1, level 2, level 3, and level 4. Is it for a certain age, or could you have kids that are younger that could actually be in the highest level?
So you have to work through the levels, but some of our kids are on the younger end. It all depends on the sailor and how quickly they learn the skills and how comfortable they are in the boat. So we don't hold them back based on age. We base their skill mastery on whether they're ready for the next class.
That's great. Well, what's the highest class again, Jerry?
we have a level 4, and it's comparable to like a racing class.
And how many sailors are actually in that right now?
I would defer to her.
Okay.
She's in charge of the registrations and stuff. Yes.
All right, so it's back to you, Connie.
So right now we have 6 sailors registered in that class, but we have the potential for 12. So if we have more kids who master the skills they need, they're welcome to sign up for that class.
Now, you say racers. Do they actually participate in races? Are the races organized throughout the state, or how does that work?
There are some, but we haven't really joined any of those. It's kind of just, I would call this more like a prep class. So where if we could maybe morph into like where we start racing other clubs, that could be down the road. But right now it's more of like a prep for if they wanted to join a racing team at their school, if they were from a town that had a sailing school or a racing in their school. But it's more of a prep for racing as opposed to joining any organized ones. We haven't gotten that far yet.
And what are the ages? Was it range from where to where?
We have a brand new program called Little Buggers for 5 to 7-year-olds that meets on a Saturday morning, and we go up to, I think our oldest participant right now is 72.
Wow, that's great. So, one of the things we've been highlighting on the show is that there are sports here that are for all ages. Like we did tennis. You can play tennis when you're a little kid all the way up to when you're, in your 70s, just like you have with sailing. We've also done golf, and we've also done rugby. And we actually did a show with rugby, and they had a little 6-year-old who was just starting off. And I mean, it's just wonderful to see the joy in those little kids' faces that they're participating as a team, and they're getting a real reward out of it. And do you see that in the kids' faces when you're teaching them?
I really do, and one of my roles here is to really work with the teenagers. So we have a junior instructor program, so when they're 13, they're eligible to come and help the sailors who are at a lower level than they are. And then once they're 16, they're eligible to apply for jobs with us, and once they're 18, they're eligible to become instructors. So I find that very gratifying because we've had kids who have come to us with no sailing experience who are now teaching other kids how to sail.
Well, that's very gratifying for you, and it's gratifying for them, and hopefully when they get through their lessons, we might talk to a couple of them. And Jerry, how many of the kids in your program actually go on to sailing like in college and beyond competitively?
Well, I don't know if we even tracked it, but like Connie was talking earlier, one of our private instructors started here right from the beginning, and now I don't know if he actually sails at the school, but I mean he's still with us while he's in college. He's now in college, and some of us came to us from actually our original instructor came from town here, but taught in Hawaii or California, I think, and one of her summers she came here and taught with us. Wow. So as far as moving on, I don't know off the top of my head, but it's nice to see, like she said, they started here when they were 12, 11, and now they're in college, and they're still coming back for spending their summers with us, and they're in their almost 20s. So
That's great. And you said this started 7 years ago?
it started in 2016 from Alan Felgate. Wanted to start a sailing club, and like I said, my partner said, hey, let's, this is a sailing club. Yeah. So here we are. Now I'm the treasurer of the sailing. We're a 501c3 nonprofit, and we take boat donations, and we use some of them in the program, and sorry, it's a little off topic, but we sell others to help continue funding the program.
That's great. Now, being a nonprofit, how do you raise funds to help the program?
Yeah, so boat donations has been a big factor for us. We also take private donations, and before COVID, we did do some fundraising activities, but we're trying to pull those things back up. And part of what that funds, in addition to our regular operations, is financial aid. So we really want to make sailing accessible to everyone. We don't want cost to be a deterrent. So that's one of the ways that we're able to provide those opportunities.
That's awesome. So any of the parents that are watching at home right now, if their kids want to participate, and there might be some issues because of everything that's going on in our world right now, there are ways to talk to you about perhaps helping the children through funding.
Absolutely.
That's great. And you said there's 200 people in the club. What does the club consist of? Just coming and sailing, or is there ongoing functions that you have for the club? I know you should have a board of directors. How many people on your board of directors?
Right now we have 6 people on the board of directors, and we are looking to expand that as well. We're always looking for volunteers, and if you're not a sailor, that's okay. Everybody has a skill set, and we will definitely find a place for you. We are continuing to work on all of that. Yeah.
And the 200 members, is that for this year, or this is in the whole program right now?
So that's how many participants we have registered this year. Mm-hmm.
Is that the most you've had, Jerry?
I think we did close to 280 last year. So, and we call ourselves a club, but we're more of a instructional, more of almost like a school, if you will. Sure. There's no real like members. It's just a way to get kids out there and teach them how to sail. So we're more of a school, but Clinton Sailing School, just didn't really.
Sure. I think the club sounds great. Yeah. Plus, you get these great T-shirts and stuff. Yeah. Now, if somebody wants more information about how they can either join or how they participate, or one of the parents want to get their kids involved, what should they do?
The best thing to do is go to info@clintonsail.org and send us an email, and somebody will get back to you.
Oh, that's great. And do you get a lot of participation from the town in terms of support?
Oh, we do. Yes, yeah, we do. The town helps us. We have some power boats for the coach boats, and the town lets us keep them at the town dock. So that's a big help. The Parks and Rec lets us use the beach, which has been just a lifesaver.
A beautiful beach.
Yes, and they just let us use this spot that doesn't get utilized by a lot of the people. So just being able to use this space for our boats has just been a lifesaver.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, and letting us keep our trailer there and teach the kids, it's been just great. So Parks and Rec has been huge.
Yeah, so thanks, big shout out to the town. And Connie, how many boats do you actually have in the program now that you're using?
Actually, boat is more his department, but
okay, we come over.
Something, correct?
We have about 25, yes.
25.
We actively use 10 of them are actively used. The others are a little more specific. Like we mentioned, the Little Buggers program that we just started. We just passed them earlier. There's little 8-foot. They're actually called Bugs, okay. And those are great starting boats for the little guys and little kids. And when they come on the weekend, we'll probably won't even put a sail up. It's just kind of getting the kids used to being out in the water, into a boat, into the movement, feeling the movement. So it's going to be a lot more personalized. But yes, we have I think our fleet is 25.
That's awesome. Well, we're going to, we said it starts with the young and it ends with the old, and it's a sport anybody can play and participate in. And we're bringing bring you back in just a moment when some of the kids start coming in. You introduce me to some of the instructors. But as I said, as a segue, we have a gentleman in town who's actually he reached the pinnacle of success in sailing. You know, we think about the Super Bowl and football, and we think about, we just got through the basketball finals, the hockey finals. But I think the pinnacle of sailing, you'd have to admit, is the America's Cup and also the Olympics. And we're going to bring a gentleman on just a moment, Dave Dellenbaugh, who has actually participated in both of those. So we'll interview Dave, and then we'll come back and we'll wrap it up. And again, thank you for your participation, all you're doing for the town.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. What we're talking to now are some of the instructors that are actually out in the water with the kids and helping them participate and become sailors, just like Dave Dellenbach, who you'll meet. Dave was an Olympic sailor as well as an America's Cup. And with me today, with your name?
Paige Guptill.
And Paige, how long have you been doing this?
I've been doing this for about 6 or 7 years.
Wow. And were you part of the program to begin with?
A few years after it began.
Okay. And how long have you been actually sailing?
I've been sailing. I started sailing with this program, so I've been sailing 6 or 7 years. I forget the year they started.
What do you have to do to qualify as an instructor?
You have to be at least 13 years old, and you have to have a certain sailing experience.
Okay. And what about the kids you're just coming in now? What was the age group you're out training right today?
They're around 10 to 12 years old today.
Okay, 10 to 12. And what is your name?
Teresa Carlton.
Hi, Teresa. How are you? When did you get started in sailing?
About 6 or 7 years ago, too.
And do you enjoy coming out and working with the kids?
I love working with the kids, just seeing them grow new experience and sail. It's amazing.
And do you have any aspirations of going on beyond this to sail maybe in college?
Yeah, I'd like to continue sailing for most of my life. That's the goal.
That's a nice thing about this sport. It's something you can do from when you're this small all the way up till you're a graduate, and later in life, as we saw from Dave Dellenbach, who's actually he's a little bit older than the rest of us, but he's still sailing. And as I said, he was in the Olympics and also in the America's Cup. And what is your name?
Maisie Jobson,
Macy. When did you start?
7 or 8 years ago.
Oh, so you all basically started at the same time. Did you all know each other then?
Probably.
And what's the most rewarding thing you got out of sailing?
Just being out on the water, enjoying summer on boats.
You enjoy the kids?
Yeah.
Isn't it great when you're teaching them and watching the expressions on their face when they, all of a sudden they catch that wind and they're sailing? I mean, that's got to be quite a gratification for the kids as well as yourself.
Yeah, it really is.
And all the kids pretty cooperative?
Yeah, for the most part.
And when you teach the kids, do you start on the land and then go in the water, or you go right on the water?
Yes, we always start the day on land, learning our lesson. Then we go out in the water and do practical.
Okay. And what are you teaching them on land?
We basically teach them everything we're going to do on the water. So tacking and jibing, we do our chalk talk. So we have our whiteboard and we explain everything there. Then we usually try to do a fun land drill. Like today with our very beginner class, we had them write everything out in chalk in the parking lot to make sure they really grasped what we were doing.
Nice. Well, that's great. And Maisie, when you do that, are the kids, could you see their mind sort of wandering, or are they really paying attention and getting into it?
I'd say they're paying attention for the most part. They're happy to sail.
That's great. And now when does the program go until?
I think the second week of August is when we stop our lessons. So we have youth programs all throughout the summer.
Great. And how many kids do you actually have in the program that you're participating in instructing?
It's usually about 12 to 20 students per week, and then I think we have 8 weeks of programs.
Oh, so do I just come for 1 week, or could I participate in the program for all 8 weeks?
We have different levels of kids. So our morning class is about 3 or 4 hours, and our afternoon's about the same. Today we had our level 1s and levels 2. So you could sign up for multiple weeks, yeah.
And what's the youngest kid in the program?
7. Or actually, we have our Little Buggers class, which starts at 5.
Wow, that's great. And like I was saying before, any of you parents who want to get out and be instructed by these wonderful instructors, please come out, see them. You got to sign up in advance, but I'm sure there's nothing like being on the water in a sail and get that wind behind your back. It's got to be pretty exciting, right, kids? Great.
Yeah.
Well, hey, thank you very much, and thanks for all you're doing for the town and the kids. Thank you very much, Macy. Thank you very much. Okay, now we're going to bring in one of the junior instructors who was a student, now is an instructor. Come on in. And what is your name?
My name's Emerson Deming.
And Emerson, when did you get started sailing?
About 6 years ago, I believe.
Okay, and how old are you?
I'm 13.
Wow. And is it something that you've picked up when you were younger, or something you just picked up recently?
I started when I was 8 years old with the program.
With the program?
Mhm.
And so you progressed, and what do you have to do to qualify as a junior instructor?
You just have to have a certain level of experience, like you said, and you also have to be a certain age and have certain qualifications.
And so what would some of those qualifications be?
Just be sailing for a couple years, I believe, and just having some experience.
And what specific age groups are you teaching?
Usually the level 1 and the level 2 I teach, because I take level 3 and 4 as well, so it's usually between 7 to 12 years old.
Wow, that's great. And this is something you want to pursue in college?
Yes, definitely later in my life.
And where are you going to school right now?
I go to Jared Elliott in Clinton.
And now, do they have a sailing team at Morgan?
I don't think they do. I'm not sure though.
They don't. Okay. And now, but is there a way to participate in a club sailing team? Do you know?
I'm not sure either.
But if they did, you'd like to participate?
Yes.
That's great. Well, listen, thank you very much, and I'm glad the program has been successful for you. You started as a young person, and now you can continue to grow both with the program and with the town and with the community and all your friends. So I want to thank you very much, and
Thank
good luck
you.
the rest of the summer, and good luck in
Thank
school
you.
next year. Okay, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. As I said, we come back and talk to a real pro, someone who's reached the pinnacle of success in sailing. And with me right now is Dave Dellenbaugh. Dave actually happens to be my neighbor, and we're talking about sailing and learn some interesting things when you talk to people on the street and in social environment. And Dave, you told me that you've actually participated in several lead-ups and actually in the America's Cup. First of all, Dave, can you explain to the sailing audience what the America's Cup actually is and how it's put together and how you participate?
Well, the America's Cup has been around since 1851. It's one of the oldest trophies in sport, and it was won by the boat America, which went over and beat a bunch of British boats to bring it back here. And the competition has been held off and on since 1851, and it's basically a challenge between yacht clubs representing countries. And right now, New Zealand holds it, and in a couple years, there'll be the next America's Cup, and we'll see who wins it then, and then it would go to that country to hold it.
Now, how many different countries have you actually participated in the, lead up to the to not only the Olympics but the America's Cup?
Well, in 1986, when I sailed my first America's Cup, there were 13 challengers representing like 8 or 9 countries. I have sailed for the United States every time I've done it, except once when I sailed on the German boat.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
And what countries have you sailed?
We, in 92, when we won the America's Cup, we sailed against Italy. And we've sailed against all other different countries. Wow. So, yeah.
How many? So you say you're representing the United States. How many teams are actually participating for the right to represent the United States?
It varies. Some years it's just one, and some years we've had up to 5 or 6.
Wow.
So you generally, if you have more than one, you do a sail-off series for who's going to defend for the United States, and then they race against the team that wins the Challenger series to go to the final America's Cup. So all the other countries would sail off, and the winner would race whoever is the defender, if the U.S. is the defender.
Wow. And how many countries typically will participate?
Well, last time it was only 5, I think, and next time hopefully it's 1 or 2 more than that. But it's been up to 10 at times.
Wow. Now, when you say you're on the America's Cup team, how many people are actually on the sailboat at the time you're racing?
That's a good question. When I did it, it was 16 people, and the boat was about 80 feet. It was a big boat, and you have a lot of crew members to handle all the sails and everything.
So is that a typical size?
Now they're smaller, but they're faster.
Really?
They're more physical, and they foil, so they're big boats, and they lift up off the water on foils and go very fast. We had more traditional boat in the water kind of boat, and more crew members.
Now, when you're racing like that, when you won it, so you won it in 1992, correct?
Correct.
Now, when you won it, how many? 16 people on the boat at that time? And is each boat required or allowed to have the same amount? So one team can't have 18 or another team 20. Does that vary, or are you allowed? It all has to be the same.
There's a limit to how many you can have. So generally, you have as many as you can, because you need all the strength for grinding the winches and hiking out and doing everything to keep the boat going fast.
Wow. And what about the boats themselves? Are the boats regulated by how they can be built, how they're structured, and whatnot?
Oh yeah.
Are they very particular about that?
Well, there's a particular rule or set of rules that the boat has to fit within, and within those rules you can have slightly different things. So every boat's a little bit different, but they're all built to a common rules, so they're similar.
Now you say back then there were 16 people, now they're smaller. So as it progresses throughout the years, when a change is made, then they all have to make the change. In other words, you can't stay with that old boat because you now have a much faster boat.
Yeah, no, you wouldn't want that old one anyway. Now because the boats are so much faster. So each time it's held, which is about every 3 years, there's a different, either a different kind of boat or a modification of the existing boat, and they do that.
Now, when you actually won it in 1992, what's that like? You know, we see people who won the Super Bowl, and there's all this ecstatic, people are going crazy. First of all, what kind of fan turnouts do you get for something like that, Dave? And what's it like actually winning it?
Yeah, it was very cool. Well, it was in San Diego that year, and we raced against the Italians in the final races. It was a best 4 out of 7, and we ended up winning 4-1. But out on the water, well, first of all, ESPN broadcast all the races live. Wow. Back then when they were looking for stuff to cover. Right. And so everything was on ESPN. On the water there were probably hundreds of boats, almost, some were huge with lots of people, and at any moment in the air there's probably 10 or 12 helicopters buzzing around. So it was a challenge that way because you had to talk really loudly and stuff among the crew. But once you start racing, you kind of forget all that.
Right. It's like you were in a Super Bowl and there's 80,000 people in the stands. Yeah. You got to sort of block that out. So it's the same thing.
Do, exactly. Yeah.
And now, what was your actual role on the ship, or on the sailing boat?
Well, I was the tactician. So
which does what?
The tactician is the person who decides where to go and whether to go over here, over there, and when to tack or jibe, or all the decisions you have to make to sail the boat around the course.
Wow. Now, Connors is probably one of the most famous sailors, right?
Yeah, Dennis Conner, yeah.
And so what was his role? What does he actually do?
Well, in that year, in 92, when we won it, we were racing against Dennis Conner to represent the U.S., and we beat him in the Defender trials, and so he had no role in the America's Cup. But
so what does he do, though?
He's normally the helmsperson.
Okay, and why is the helmsperson job more important than yours as a tactician?
I don't know. You could argue that it's not, but on our boat we had one person, Buddy Melgus, great sailor, Olympic gold medalist, great sailor, who was the helmsperson, and we split up the roles. So I was a tactician, and I made the decisions. On some boats, the same person does everything. Little challenging because there's so much that needs to be done, but yeah.
What was it like when you won? I mean, first of all, what type of, is it an award you get, or is there any type of economic value to it for you?
No economic value. A job well done. But, when I was sailing, well, all the sailors at that point were being paid to do it just because it took a year or more of your life. So you needed to live somehow. Sure. But the reward is the America's Cup itself, which is a big silver thing that comes from 1851. And that day was, the day we won it was May 16th, 1992. It was my daughter Emily's 2nd birthday.
Wow.
And we were supposed to have a party for her, but it got postponed.
I would imagine it's a pretty good reason why.
Yeah, so she always gives me a hard time about that, but she didn't know it at the time, but anyway.
So the America's Trophy is almost like the Super Bowl, the Lombardi Trophy, or the Stanley Cup, what we see, but they just dropped in the ice when the Colorado Avalanche won the game.
Yeah, they're more protective of the America's Cup. I think the America's Cup is worth a lot more than probably the Stanley Cup. They don't let you take it to your local bar. It comes with a guy who's there all the time and he's protecting it.
And you wouldn't find Tom Brady throwing the America's Cup to another boat in the same parade, right?
You would not find that normally. No.
Oh, so you don't actually get to take it, show it off and stuff?
No.
Much more protected.
No, yeah, much more.
So how many total were you in?
I sailed in 4.
Wow.
Yeah, from 86 to 2007.
Wow. Now you also mentioned that you were in the Olympics. You're a coach of the Olympics. How does that work?
Yeah, I didn't sail in the Olympics, but I coached 2 times the U.S. Olympic sailing team. I coached in England when the Olympics were in London in 2012, although the sailing games were down in Weymouth, down south of London, on the water. Mm-hmm. And then I coached again in Brazil, in Rio, in 2016.
Wow, what an experience. Now, how did you guys do?
Well, the U.S. team has gone through a bit of a rebuilding thing. Up until the early 2000s, the U.S. was the best, strongest team by far, but some other countries have caught up, and the U.S. is trying to figure out how to get back to the top.
So the last time you were in the Olympics was 2000. Coach was 2016.
It was, yeah, in Rio. I probably spent, before the Olympics, maybe 50 days on the water in Rio, and then 3 weeks at the Olympics. And I also coached at the Paralympic Games, which was about a month after the Olympics.
That's awesome. That's really awesome. A lot of credit to you, Dave. Now, do you still you're still sailing now?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do a bunch of sailing. Not as much as I used to, and I've done in the past 10 or 15 years a lot more coaching than sailing. But I still.
So you're still coaching now?
Yeah, I've not done so much since COVID, but starting to do a little bit more. I was just up in Newport last week for 5 days coaching a regatta called the Claggett. It's a disabled sailing regatta. We had probably 30 or 40 sailors with varying disabilities that were all on the water, clinic and racing. So it was awesome.
So at what age did you actually start? Because we got the little buggers here. What age did you actually start?
Yeah, I was. Well, my parents had sailboats when I was born, so they would take me off cruising, and so I jumped into little boats soon after that and started racing. So,
and it's still in your blood.
Yeah, it is. I recently moved to Clinton. I used to live in Fairfield area. I love Clinton now. This is what's not to love here,
right,
Right.
Right.
And so I love being here, and it's great being right by the water.
Absolutely. Now, what actually? I ask people a lot when we're on the show. What actually drew you to Clinton?
That it's a very friendly town that is not completely ridiculously built up like a lot of towns to the west of here. And so I like that, and I love being near the water and, all the natural areas, the marshes, and, everything that there is.
And Dave's not only an excellent sailor, but he's also a great fisherman. And I saw you the other day, and what's the big fish you just caught?
No, I caught a striped bass that was almost 49 inches. So there's bigger fish here than near Fairfield, for sure.
Always bigger fish to fry, right?
Yeah, there's always bigger fish on the next town.
Right.
So,
Dave, thank you so much for coming on the show. I hope some of these kids that Connie and Jerry are training today will become athletes like yourself and go on to much higher expectations and reach the pinnacle of success that you did. But thank you so much.
yeah, I've coached kids a lot in the last 20, 30 years, including my own kids who grew up sailing on little boats like this and went on to my daughter won the Youth Worlds, which is like the Olympics for under 19, and they both were college All-Americans. And so, kids could start with little boats like this and go anywhere they want, pretty much.
That's great. Well, you got to come over here and volunteer some of your service?
Yeah, maybe I will.
Okay,
Yeah.
you can talk to Connie and Jerry.
Yeah.
All right, Dave, thank you so much. We'll see you around the neighborhood.
Yeah,
Thanks so
good
much.
time.
And congratulations on all your success in
All right,
sailing,
thanks
as
a
well
lot.
as fishing.
Yeah.
And I think that 40 inch is a little fish story. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Dave. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that'll wrap up today's Sports Talk with Tom Foster and my friend Iris Dunham, who's behind the camera, my cameraman, my producer, my director, just about anything else associated with the show. And like I've said on all the shows, is if you have any things of interest that you'd like Iris and I to come out and cover, please let us know, whether it's people, whether it's places, whether it's events. This is what that show is all about, both this and Talk of the Town. We want to highlight all the good things that are happening here in our wonderful town of Clinton. So if you have any ideas, let us know. You can reach us at iris.dunham@publicnet.com. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great day, and we'll see you again in another upcoming show.